And that takes us into the second game of this best of three series. Brody and Gungay up against Gwolf and Fishy. Now the tank choice here is a bit different from the last game to say the least, with the two T57 heavies being picked by the Brody and Gungay. A lineup that we've seen before from them, and we've seen them make it work very well. However, Gwolf and Fishy here going for what I think might be a little bit stronger on steps, which is a very light lineup, but a lineup that also has good turret armor to go along with it. So they might be able to flank around and see long angles on these T57 heavies as they approach the two caps. But nevertheless, we'll see how they choose to push, and it does look like it's going to be an 8-9 line push for the T57 heavies. The T57 is actually surprisingly good for the 2 cap, with the top turret armor being quite nice. So even though it's not quite as unarmored as the... a lot of the times people say it's exactly as unarmored as the 50B. However, in these hold down situations where it's only really the top of the turret that ever gets shown, the T57 can still make the 2 cap work. Now we're seeing a very passive, but also a very meta sort of defense from Gwolf and Fishy, sticking together and also holding long angles on both the caps all the same time. Now we're going to have to see how they choose to reset the 2 cap when Brody and Gungay inevitably decide to move towards it, which I think seems to be their main battle plan, as they're just watching, waiting for a scout to come through here, seeing if the Fishy and Gwolf is going to get aggressive on the 1-2 line, which they've known for their aggression, so a 1-2 line push by Fishy and Gwolf would be almost expected in this situation, but it's not coming, and they will eventually realize that and turn around and start heading towards one of the 2 caps to make some sort of play. It's a very sort of boring game, both sides sort of waiting for a push that isn't necessarily happening. Now Fishy and the E50M, it's an interesting choice, but it's definitely a tank he feels very comfortable on, and especially on a map like Steps, where you have to make long-range shots with accuracy. The E50M has got the gun handling and dispersion. Oh, maybe not the gun handling, but it's definitely got the dispersion to be making some of the long-range shots that are going to be required to defend the Steps caps. We're seeing a little bit of communication and chat between Fishy and Gwolf. Now as the T57s, they make their move towards the 9-0 line. It does look like they're going to try and pressure the 2 cap, but it's all going to depend on the reaction from the CACs and the E50M here. They have to sort of try and get around. I don't think they're going to be very successful resetting it from the front, because the T57's turret, it's capable to trade. And there's no real way to approach this without putting yourself into a position that you can easily get over-pushed by these two T57 heavies. So they have to go around. It's critical right now, while the cap is in its early phases, that Gwolf understands that he has to drive towards the middle of the map and not straight at the cap in order to make this work. Which is exactly what's happening. These players very switched on. It does appear that they're going to try and go around and sort of come from behind and take the long angle from behind. A very smart maneuver by them. And Fishy, he's driving up a little bit closer than I would hope. He is getting very aggressive, and if he continues on this path, he will get overpeaked. I'm not sure if he's thought this through very well, because he is up against two T57 heavies. This is going to be a catastrophe if he isn't very careful. As he fires his shot, he understands that he has to be very careful here and starts reversing. As the T57 heavies, now they're deciding whether or not to pounce or whether or not to just stay on cap. Fishy, he's dangling for the reset. He's peeking, he's poking, and he gets the HE connection. Now Gwolf has a huge advantage here. Gwolf has the option to go wide, but he's not going to use it. He's going to come in close, and that means these T57 heavies are going to be able to pounce on one of them here. Fishy, he has to begin running now. This is going to be his only chance to run away, and he's already switched on. He knows what he has to do. He's putting distance between himself and these T57 heavies, but they're going to be able to peek over this hill, and Fishy has to make it to this rock, otherwise there will be dire consequences, as he already takes 2 connections. He gets tracked, he repairs it, and he's going to be able to get behind the rock for cover here. Now the T57s, all of a sudden the tables have turned. They're missing a lot of their shots, and they're going to have to start reloading soon. Gwolf is going to be able to start pressuring forward. They're on the run now. The medium tanks are going to be able to sweep up these T57 heavies. Now Gwolf very switched on. He knows what he has to do. He knows he has to close the gap before these guys reload. Now they're both not aiming. It looks like they've both been very greedy. They're both reloading. If he picks off Gungay here, this game could be turned on its head. As Brody now YOLOing for Fishy. Brody is yearning for that kill. Gwolf here has to avoid these connections. He has to get this last connection on Gungay at all costs. And is he going to get it? He makes it. Now it's a 1v1 between a reloading T57 heavy and a Cax. Now the Cax does have the DPM to make this work. He just has to connect his shots, but he bounces the first one. That could be what makes or breaks this game. That one bounce. He could load Hesh. I think he switched on. I think Gwolf knows here that he can load Hesh and penetrate the T57 here. Is he going to go for it though? He's going around the side. I think he has Hesh loaded for the T57, but he's still loading APCR. This is going to be a very close game as Brody gets the reload, and it looks like he's going to get the final connections there onto Gwolf, and that means that this is a definitive win for Brody and Gungay against Gwolf and Fishy. Both of those games could have gone either way, and in both of those games, both sides had held a significant advantage at one point or another. A very close game, and I would love to see this series again because it was incredibly close and a fantastic series to watch. But for now, we're going to be moving on. We're going to see Brody and Gungay progressing towards the next round of the tournament, and unfortunately, Fishy and Gwolf will be seeing you guys in the losers bracket.